What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Fat Boys Dynasty Podcast coming at you live. I'm Bo. No Brant this week, guys. Schedules didn't quite work out with him, even though we thought we'd be back on normal schedule this week. He's got some family obligations tonight, couldn't be there. But again, we've missed you guys the last 2 weeks. Had to get one out this week. Going to be a short one. Probably going to be a lot of stuttering and stammering through things on my end. Solo's a lot more difficult than having another fat boy to bounce ideas and conversation off of. So I will do my best not to annoy the heck out of you guys this week with me droning on and on. But anyway, part of the other reason for this big or this solo podcast where you only get one half of the 2 tons of fun of the Fat Boys is there were some big trades that happened in the NFL world, and the immediate fallout on the fantasy world is kind of relevant too. So I wanted to talk to you guys about some of these big trades that have happened and kind of where the value of said players are before, or maybe you guys are tossing around the idea of selling off these players or selling or trying to buy these players. And before you get into it too deep, maybe you wanted to come by and check out and see what this fat boy has to say about these trades. Again, I was hoping Brant would be here to kind of discuss his thoughts on it. But nonetheless, I'm going to tell you what I think about what the going rate for some of these players is currently. Let's get into this show, guys. Let's do this solo Fat Boys experience. We'll see how bad this is. We'll probably never hope to do this again, but we're going to give her heck. So let's go ahead and get into this show. So again, guys, I am solo this week. So again, maybe Brant's the one you think's the better looking out of the two of us. So I'm sorry you have to only stare at my ugly face this week. Like I said, hopefully this is a shorter episode, get you through some of the meat and potatoes of what I want to talk about here, and then we'll move on. So first and foremost, guys, there's some big trades like I alluded to prior to the show starting. We had Davante Adams getting basically his wish granted from going from Vegas to the New York Jets to be reunited with Aaron Rodgers once again. That trade happened. And then we had another wide receiver get traded. Amari Cooper left the Cleveland Browns and went to the Buffalo Bills. And then of smaller stature, we had a running back on the move. We had Cam Akers get dealt to the Minnesota Vikings. So what do each one of these trades mean? Well, first of all, let's go talk about this Davante Adams trade. First of all, Davante Adams is 31 years old. He's reunited with Aaron Rodgers. These two are, there was the drama a few years ago where Davante Adams made, comment about like going from Aaron Rodgers to Derek Carr is no let off at all. And then Rodgers said the same thing, made a joke about it afterwards, saying the same thing about going from Davante Adams to Allen Lazard. And obviously, Lazard's had some struggles this year. He's had some bright spots as well. Mike Williams hasn't been cutting it. So really, it's been the Garrett Wilson experience, and that's kind of it for the pass catchers in New York. Now, for me, the passing game hasn't looked that great anyway. I'm not really excited about the Davante Adams part in this. I think it hurts the value of both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson to an extent. Now, the one thing you may be able to take away from this is in a super flex league, maybe Aaron Rodgers is startable again. But from a fantasy perspective, a dynasty perspective, Davante Adams is 31 years of age. Okay, so I went to the website Dynasty Daddy. Don't know how many of you are familiar with it. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's a very cool interactive site. But anyway, I was able to pull some trades that have happened today, the last 24 hours, involving Davante Adams. So 2 trades. This kind of highlighting the going rate for Davante Adams. Again, he is 31 years of age, so it's fun to capitalize. And when he goes someplace like New York, you ought to think, yeah, this should be a great move for him for fantasy. I should be able to sell high if I've been wanting to sell. But again, you got to remember in Las Vegas, he was the sole focus of that offense. Everything was going through him. He was looking at like 12 targets a game. I'm not so sure he gets those 12 targets a game. I think him and Garrett Wilson will both be in the neighborhood between 7 and 10 each week, with 1 week Devontae may get more, 1 week it may be Garrett Wilson. So again, 31-year-old Davante Adams in a trade today in a 12-team league on Sleeper, 12-team Superflex. Davante Adams went for Gabe Davis and a 2026 first-round pick. Again, not great value, right? Like if you're hoping for more, but that first next year, that 2026 class, that's a shot at Arch Manning and that quarterback class in 2 years. Definitely always nice to have a first-round pick. If you're a rebuilding team, this isn't so bad. Gabe Davis is kind of a fun little throw-in coming off his 2-touchdown performance this week, where he did have a few drops. I honestly think, if I remember right, and my memory serves me correctly, it could have been a 3-touchdown performance from Gabe Davis, but he had a couple drops in the end zone. So that's one package. The other one is for Ladd McConkey and a 2026 round 3. So obviously you can see that the kind of going rate for Davante Adams is either a first-round pick with a mid-tier, somewhat younger wide receiver. I think Gabe Davis like 25 years of age, or it's Davante Adams at 31 years old for a lower round pick, but a more promising young rookie wide receiver. So again, it depends. If you're contending and you're like, I want to push all my chips to the table, maybe you're the one who sends Ladd McConkey in the 3rd round pick to a falling out of favor team for Davante Adams. Now, obviously, I think the bigger trade as far as fantasy impact is Amari Cooper. At 30 years of age, he got traded to the Buffalo Bills, who we've all noticed, we've all known the fact that Josh Allen's kind of been desperate. Like we've had some relevancy from Khalil Shakir. We've had some, a lot of us, myself included, in a few leagues, bought into this, offseason hype that Curtis Samuel was going to somehow be the guy. Dalton Kincaid's not been the guy. Like there's been a lot of trading hands here where we thought maybe one of these guys was going to be the guy. Nobody's been the guy. So the Bills front office goes out and says, let's go get this guy. So we go for 30-year-old Amari Cooper. I think the packages that you can get for Amari do show the value being a little higher for him than the Davante Adams news, because he is going to be the number 1 right in the bat in Buffalo, whereas you don't know how Davante Adams is sliding in. But the first trade, that again, same concept, 12-team, 2-quarterback league. Amari Cooper, 30 years of age, going for Michael Pittman and a 2025 3rd. Again, you get that young, promising wide receiver who's had his ups and downs. He's really good with Joe Flacco, was really good with Gardner Minshew. It's been hit or miss with Anthony Richardson, so you're taking a little gamble there. Or the other end of this is Ricky Pearsall with the San Francisco 49ers and a 2025 first-round pick. So again, if Pearsall doesn't work out this year, he's not somebody you can use this year. Maybe you shove him on your taxi. I know they did just open his practice window, and you get that 2025 first-round pick to fall back on. Really good value for Amari Cooper, considering is the fact that when he was on the Bills, you probably couldn't have given him away for a 3rd or a 4th-round pick. And again, if you sold him for that, you're hurting right now, because Amari Cooper on his worst days in Cleveland was probably worth more than that. And now he is catching passes from Josh Allen in Buffalo. Be a hard pill to swallow if you gave him away. And then last but not least, we have this Cam Akers news. Cam Akers, 25 years of age, had a couple good games for the Houston Texans, good enough that they were able to capitalize on him and move him to Minnesota. So he goes to Minnesota in this trade that's essentially like a Cam Akers and a conditional 7th-round draft pick for a conditional 6th-round draft pick. So essentially he was free. So what does this mean for Aaron Jones, first of all? Because that's the biggest news is, Aaron Jones is getting up there in age. He's questionable right now with a let me see where we're at with the injuries. It's been a minute since I've read about him, because he's coming off the bye week. Hamstring ailment, which again can be a lingering issue for a middle-aged running back. They do have Ty Chandler. My thoughts on this is Akers is just Ty Chandler injury insurance. Obviously, Ty Chandler will look just fine in the absence of Aaron Jones. We've seen Ty Chandler in that role before. I don't expect to see any huge glaring issues with Ty Chandler. So anyway, the two trades that I've seen happen for Cam Akers, where it was just Cam Akers straight up, not adding him in to get a deal done, which, by the way, guys, if somebody's coming to you and you're working on this trade and it's getting close and they're like, okay, I'll do it, but I want Cam Akers involved, probably shouldn't be a deal breaker. Cam Akers is not going to be, somebody who bursts onto the scene and ends up being a league winner. It's just not going to happen for him unless some crazy dominoes happen. So if he's a name that somebody's wanting you to throw in just to get a deal pushed over, don't hesitate over that. But again, the two trades that have went through in the last 24 hours are they've both been for the same price tag, which is that of a 2026 round 3 pick, so a third rounder in 2026 for Cam Akers. So again, maybe this is somebody who owns Aaron Jones and says, hey, let me get some handcuff insurance here. So maybe you have Cam Akers and you can go pivot him and sell him to the Aaron Jones owner, or maybe there's something more going on here. Maybe this injury is a little worse to Aaron Jones. They are coming off of a bye week. He's still questionable. They trade for Cam Akers. Maybe there is something going on there. But again, several of the leagues that I'm in right now, Cam Akers is still a free agent. I've been on the fence about going and picking him up. Haven't done so yet, but maybe it's worth a stash in your league. If nothing else, just on the off chance that he does end up, cutting into some of that work of Aaron Jones if Jones ends up missing some time. So that's first and foremost on the forefront. The second piece of business I want to talk about real quick with you guys before I get out of here for the evening, since it's just me, and again, you're probably already tired at this point of listening to just me talk, is this Thursday night contest between the Broncos and the Saints is not all that attractive. Excuse me. Not that attractive of a Thursday night game. I believe we still have Spencer Rattler starting, Bo Nix, who sometimes they put up points in Denver, sometimes they don't. So that this contest on the surface is not that appealing. Let me go check. Yes, Derek Carr is doubtful to play this week. So not only is Carr still out, you've got Chris Olave who's out. News came out today that Rashid Shaheed is flying to have a procedure done, so he may be out for quite a while. That leaves A.T. Perry and Bub Means. Taysom Hill is also unexpected to play. So, as far as pass catchers, it's Juwan Jennings, Bub Means, and Juwan Johnson, Bub Means, and A.T. Perry. So not a huge list. Bub Means, I went and picked up every place I could find him today. I'm not so sure I'm going to play him this week, but I definitely like to see what it looks like with him as the one. I liked Bub Means coming out of Pittsburgh, the University of Pittsburgh, going into New Orleans. I thought there was a small chance he could make something happen. He looked good in preseason, and here he's going to get his chance. I know he came in relief of Olave after his his concussion. And so it very well may be Bub Means moving forward, at least for the next week or two, potentially. So definitely worth going and picking up there if you have them. But the main thing I want to discuss here is don't leave those guys in your flex spot, right? Move. If you're starting a Denver Bronco, I'm sorry. If you're starting a New Orleans Saint this week outside of Alvin Kamara, I'm sorry. Don't put those guys in your flex spot and get them up into your RB1 spot, your wide receiver spots. Leave those flex spot guys for guys who play Monday. We do have doubleheader Monday. And then also don't flex your London players. We have the Jags and the Patriots, I do believe, in London this week, which is correct. So you don't want to put any of your Patriots. You don't want to put any of your Jags in your flex. Again, also worth noting, Drake May went and had an MRI tonight after practice, so be mindful of that situation. Maybe you don't want to start Demario Douglas after you've been considering it all this time. And then we do have 2 Monday night contests this week, the Ravens and Buccaneers and Chargers and Cardinals. So that Cardinals game gives Marvin Harrison a little bit of time to try to continue, maybe get back from his concussion, which will be a stretch. But nonetheless, these are things to be mindful of, things to be, cognizant of. I want to hear you guys' takes. Jump over to the Fantasy Holics page. Let us know over there which one of these trades that has happened in the NFL world in the last 24 hours is bigger impact for you. Is it Devontae Adams or is it Amari Cooper? There was some split splitting of hairs happening in the Fantasy Holics group chat yesterday with the Amari Cooper news. Half of them thought it was a fantastic move for him. Others were like, hey, man, Josh Allen's really not throwing the ball that much. It really hasn't been that efficient. So we'll see. It's definitely going to be an interesting thing to see how that shakes out over there in Buffalo over the next couple of weeks, as well as in New York. These are two teams that said, hey, we're going for it this year. We want to try to win the division. The Dolphins are looking down. The Patriots are looking down. It's a two-team race. They just played in a great contest on Monday night. And then the Bills watched the Jets make this upgrade with Devontae Adams, and they're like, hey, don't forget about us. Here's our move. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how that AFC East plays out over the next couple of weeks and to see how these guys shake out for fantasy purposes. So again, if you let us know which one of these team or trades made the most sense or least amount of sense in your eyes. And if you had one of these players and may have made trades, what are you expecting to get for them, or what did you get for them? Again, I'll see you guys hopefully with Brant on Sunday, 9 a.m. 10 a.m. Eastern time, 9 a.m. Central time. Be here live for your Sunday morning start sit advice, your DFS plays, your underdog plays of the week, and also just talk some food like we always do, and then of course discuss the London game that's taking place while we're on. So make sure you guys are there. Hope to see you then, and as always, stay hungry and stay fat, my friends.